All right, guys. This video looks interesting. We're coming down off of all the crazy drama going on. So now we get to do some stuff that's like a little different, a little interesting. Or at least I feel like it's a video about Lex Fridman. I believe Destiny does get referenced in it, but it's more about Lex Fridman. And I think the criticism is he's a silly little centrist. Blah. I like Lex. He seems like a good guy, very emotional, but in like a positive way. Seems like an empathetic guy. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. But I'm curious what this person's issue with Lex Fridman is. So it's called My Problem with Lex Fridman. Rashad Crenshaw. Hopefully I said that correctly. So let's see what you got here. Incredible stuff.
I have an issue with Lex Fridman.
Oh, God.
I have an issue with all of these fake centrists in politics today, contaminating the minds of Americans and further convincing them that Donald Trump's attempt on democracy on January 6th is somehow normal, tolerable, and for the sake of American unity, we must move past this event and leave it in the past.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what Lex Fridman's perspective on the January 6th is, but if it was an insurrection. Maybe I'll just edit in the whole speech I just gave from the Biden retirement video into here instead of going through it all over again. Because it's just like I don't feel like re-explaining it again, you know?
I can't get down with that. Now, Lex Fridman made a post about Kamala Harris becoming the nominee for the Democrat Party, insinuating that somehow or another it's a violation of democracy for Kamala Harris to be anointed as the nominee.
Did he really say that? That's stupid. You're going to be more like, listen, I don't know exactly. I'm not sure if anything like this has ever happened. My understanding is that Biden Harris won, or like they're the ones that are, you know, up to be president again, or the president-elect again. You know, they're the ones that are going to go into the election. Since Biden dropped out, Kamala would just go up to the next spot. That makes the most sense given the very rare circumstances here. But my thing is like, are we more concerned with that than Trump actually trying to overthrow the government? Like, I don't know. This seems a little bit interesting. What do you want to like a formal? Maybe they should have a formal vote again. I'm not super concerned, but
Lex Fridman said this: "There needs to be a transparent democratic process for selecting the nominee to replace Biden."
Isn't he? Is he even American, or is he fucking from Canada?
Anointing Kamala Harris secretly behind the scenes is not it.
It makes the most sense given the circumstances, no? Like, I don't... What do you mean?
Now, I'm going to remind Lex Fridman that Kamala Harris was not secretly appointed behind the scenes. No. Kamala Harris...
She was, like, appointed to be the vice president. And since Biden's out now, it makes logical sense that the protocol would just be to have her to be president. President-elect or president. Whatever. You understand. Not elect, but, like, the next person up, the candidate.
Harris is on the ticket, or was on the ticket, with Joe Biden. It's called Biden-Harris for a reason. Kind of like Trump-Pence before the, you know, the hang Mike Pence stuff. But yeah, it's called Biden-Harris for a reason.
He's from Russia? Oh, he's from Russia? The fuck does he know then? Russia's not even a free country. What?
Reason. If you were voting for Joe Biden, you were also voting for Kamala Harris. The reality is every higher-ranking Democrat, from governors to senators to all the legislators, the vast majority of them have endorsed Kamala Harris. No. We have not seen any uproar from liberals about Kamala Harris being the nominee. It is almost...
I mean, she's the most popular in people's minds. She's probably the best pick anyway for the you know, at this point. I don't think that there's enough time to establish another person, you know?
Unanimously clear. Literally, not almost, very much unanimously clear that the...
I think that Lex needs to admit slightly he leans conservative, though. Well, you know, listen, I know Destiny got a lot of hate for... being very insensitive about that person who died at the shooting, which I think is wrong. But at the end of the day, I would say that there's something that I think Lex falls victim to, that Destiny kind of pointed out just in general, is that like we give both sides the same charity. To be honest, we respect conservatives' perspectives too much. And I want to be very clear. We don't really respect crazy fucking liberals' perspectives. We make fun of them every day when people are like, everything is fatphobic, everything is racist, everything is sexist. We generally meme on those things. But when, you know, conservatives have absolute meltdowns about how there's a secret fucking conspiracy to stop Donald Trump from being elected and COVID was a conspiracy and all these other fucking ridiculous, nonsensical things, we kind of go like, oh, okay, like let's take that and let's respect that as much as a normal person's perspective that COVID was real and killed a lot of people and we have family that died of COVID. And it's like that's in our brains. So like, you know, if we took paint, here's where I think is how we treat people. All right, here we go. We got the left, the right, and then here we have like the middle. Okay, I would say that the people over here on, like, we'll say the left, the right, over here, the crazy, annoying fucking people, for the most part, we go, these people are annoying and crazy. You know, they got a little bit of wokeness in here, but that's okay. And then I'd say, though, on the people on the right, which is here, this is shifted over this way, but we go, yeah, you have some valid criticisms. So over here, everything is racist on the left. Over here is just, everything's a conspiracy theory. We've successfully kind of like, yeah, these guys are kind of stupid, right? We haven't successfully been like, no, you're dumb. We need to understand, like, these people are dumb. So I understand if you want to vote Trump because you don't think that Biden or Kamala Harris would be a good president, and that's fine. But if you want to vote Trump because you think he's a good president, you're a stupid person. He tried to overthrow the government. He really hasn't done anything of particular value. His tax cuts were not permanent, and they were unnecessary. The economy was already trying to get a positive direction. They were permanent for fucking rich people, and they were not permanent for middle-class people. Yeah, they exploded the economy. Okay, well, they increased our annual federal deficit by $400 billion before COVID, pre-COVID, for no reason. That's not financial responsibility. You would cut things first to lower taxes. You know what I mean? Like, you would cut things, get us into a surplus before cutting taxes. You wouldn't just cut taxes and be like, hi, lol, who gives a shit about the massive amount of debt that we're accumulating? So, like, we need to, yes, we do that. We talk about, like fucking anti-SJW shit is still very popular. For the most part, we tell, like annoying people that they're fucking annoying on the left. We don't really do that on the right. These people are too popular. These fucking psychopaths on the right. And I think that that's the problem. So, like, in Lex's brain, it's like, yeah, you know, these are people too. They have feelings and stuff. But over here, he'll be like, yeah, these people are kind of stupid. We need to understand that, like, both these extreme sides are stupid as fuck. Okay? And frankly, right-wingers are probably even stupider because it's usually young idiot kids on the left, and they're going to get older and hopefully a little wiser. And I think that that's what, like, the fundamental problem really comes from, is that. But, like, again, if somebody likes Trump and thinks he's a good president, they're stupid. We need to make sure they understand that what they think is stupid. It's okay if you think that he's a better choice over, like, Kamala or whatever. That's different because you don't think he's great. But, like, he's a terrible fucking choice. Like, oh, I don't know what to tell you. Thank you for the $2 from Jade Mana. Prez used to be winner of the president and VP would be second place. Interesting.
People of the Democrat Party want Kamala Harris and are happy with Joe Biden stepping down.
Sure.
Not to mention the fact that 70% of Democrats felt like Joe Biden was not fit not only for campaigning, but also to be the president once more.
Yeah. And he probably would struggle to win. Let's be real.
To insinuate that somehow or another you have an issue with democracy being threatened, Lex Fridman, I believe is dishonest of you. I don't believe you actually believe that, and I don't believe that's representative of your actual position. And I have evidence to back that up. Now, Destiny, the streamer, the liberal streamer, responded to your tweet, and Destiny said this. Destiny said, me desperately searching for Lex's request for Trump to publish his tax returns, openly testify about his actions before Congress like Hillary did, or his criticisms for Trump dodging Nikki Haley in every single debate request.
Damn. Based. Well, Destiny will not force a bridge to stay intact. I'll tell you that. Gotta respect that.
Lex then responded by saying this. Sorry you felt the need to tweet this and reduce me in a bad faith way to a trivialized caricature of a centrist you have in your mind. I criticize both sides on the podcast, including Trump, and I have many people on who criticize Trump, including you. Sorry you felt the need to tweet this instead of calling privately.
Well, you said it publicly, so.
This sucks, brother. Still, I'll continue being respectful and learning from your work. Now, the reality is, Lex, you are a caricaturized, well, in the case of you being real, I guess you're not a caricature.
Well, I don't think that Lex is trying to be, I don't think Lex is trying to do that. Right, I think, like I said, I think he's just taking too much of like right-wing concerns. Like he said something that seems to be verifiably false, and not understanding of like our processes because he's from like Russia. So
you are in fact that caricaturization of a centrist. You, like every other centrist in American political discourse today, is terrified of calling out Donald Trump for exactly what he is. You, along with every other centrist, like Piers Morgan, Tulsi Gabbard,
Well, I wouldn't say Piers Morgan's a centrist. He's definitely conservative, no?
Dave Smith. All of you are terrified of looking Trump supporters in the face and telling them, I'm sorry, but you are voting for the worst candidate.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you want to know what? Like, I feel, to be honest with you, like, I don't know, this whole thing with Destiny going on, it kind of made me realize how fucking terrible Trump was. To be absolutely real with you, because I feel like I was in a similar thing where it's like, people are just doing what they think, and it's like, no, at this point, I'm tired of it. Like, Trump supporters are fucking stupid. Again, difference between voting for Trump and like being like a fucking MAGA hat wearing supporter. If you're a MAGA Trump supporter, sorry, I don't even know how to talk to you, right? But we need to start shaming some of these people, because you're beyond repair. If you're going to fucking MAGA stores, you're beyond repair. I don't even know what to tell you.
When we talk about calls to violence, when we talk about threat to democracy, when we talk about the lack of presidential presentation, the lack of acting like a president, the dignity, the poise, the maturity, it is undeniable that Donald Trump has engaged in threats to democracy, calls to violence, and has completely shirked off any concept of presidential presentation, presidential dignity, presidential honesty, and presidential decorum. Ironically enough, you spoke about this with Destiny on your show. On that show,
it is interesting because Lex went in pretty, I would say, fairly hard on Destiny for using the R slur, which I agree with Lex on. But if you're going to give Destiny so much shit for using the R slur because it's not particularly respectful to use, then like, why aren't you, like, I mean, I feel like you got to hold Trump to a high standard. He might not be using the R slur, but some of the shit that he says is fucking wild. He does not speak carefully. He doesn't hold himself to a standard to speak for everybody in the United States. He holds himself to a standard to speak to just his base. He's not respectful of people who disagree with him. So I feel like, you can't just keep energy for Destiny, the edgy streamer. You can't keep more energy for him than Trump. But
you diminish the seriousness of January 6th. You literally sat there and basically downplayed the seriousness of it and told Destiny we really shouldn't call it out because it would sow division. This is you.
Before I move to that, just on this, it's really hard for him to call out that group of like election deniers, I think, without it always feeling
Well, why call them out?
Because it's arguably one of the most destructive forces that exist in this country today.
Did it destroy anything?
Well, they were trying to.
Did it, though? It didn't, did it?
So does that mean we don't call it out? We wait till next time?
No, because calling it out is giving fuel to the division. Like, the people that doubted the validity of the election, that's anger, that's frustration with
it's okay to doubt the validity of it until you take the L in court.
the other side. You heal that as opposed to saying all those people that believed that at any time are idiots.
Well, you don't have to call them idiots. You could just be like, hey, you're wrong. That's misguided. Look at all, like, the reality is like there wasn't like this widespread, impactful election fraud. It doesn't really exist. You need to call it out. You could be respectful in your call out, but you need to call it out. What?
They're un-American.
I mean, they don't think the election was real. I don't know if Biden has the ears of these people at all. I don't know what he can do for...
There's people that believe the same thing in 2016 with the Russian hacking, right?
Right, but there was a lot more validity to that. What were there, like 14 indictments that came into Trump's... like 14 indictments from that? There was Russian interference, just to be objectively clear. That is an objective thing that happened. There was an investigation in both instances, and it turned out that there were a lot of people connected to Trump that did a bad thing. So more validity to the 2016 shit going on than the 2020 shit, right? Just to be factually correct, that you're so fucking wrong about that. What are you talking about, bro?
You told Destiny not to call it out because it would cause division. You said that it was caused by people's anger toward the other side, but Lex, this is not true. The reality is Donald Trump, of his own free will, of his own volition, chose to present lies and falsehoods about the election. Donald Trump, if you read the indictment against him, knew 2 months prior to January 6th that he had lost the election. Donald Trump, despite any and all advisory from individuals in his cabinet who told him the election was not stolen, like his attorney general, ignored every single piece of advice and evidence he had received and instead chose to go along with Rudy Giuliani's false scheme, his lie to steal the election. Do not for 1 second present this as Trump supporters being angry at the other side. lay the responsibility for this madness exactly where it belongs. Donald John Trump.
John?
He chose to do
I've never met a good John. I'm just
this.
No, I'm just kidding.
Despite being informed that the election was not stolen by as many legal officials in his cabinet as possible, he still chose to go the other way. He still chose to engage with and entertain and conspire with individuals in his team like Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Epstein, these individuals who plotted against the United States to steal the election. That is not anger and frustration with the other side.
Well, it's interesting because the what's going to happen is like conservatives or Trump guzzlers, we'll call them, they're going to be like, well, it's because the deep state did this. And it's like, you know, I understand that conspiracies can exist, but at the end of the day, if you believe every single conspiracy, like when you get into the brain space where like every conspiracy is real because some are real, you get to the point where nothing will ever change your mind about anything that you don't want to change your mind about. Because you can concoct some kind of, some kind of a murder mystery conspiracy on everything at that point. And at a certain point, you're really just deciding not to believe particular facts and writing it off as a conspiracy because you just don't want to believe it.
Furthermore, this idea of it didn't work, did it? In what world do we apply that logic to any violent crime or any conspiracy to defraud something as serious as the election of the United States? Well, it didn't work, did it? It wasn't successful, was it? How many crimes?
I mean, the Mueller investigation was successful. They found a lot.
Crimes do we apply that to? What about attempted murder? Well, Your Honor, I tried, but clearly he's still here, so let me go. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's logical at all. It's not logical. In fact, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
You know, a part of it I think is like this. Like, there's an interesting psychology when it comes to a lot of this is applied when it comes to customer service at jobs. When a particular event happens, there's two ways you can go with it. Well, there's really three technically, but there's really two ways that you can go with it. Well, three, but you can be proportionate. Like an issue happens and you have the proportionate energy. The issue happens and you can go like have disproportionately low energy, or an issue happens and you can have disproportionately high energy. What ends up happening in the situation, like let's say a customer comes in and they come in with a product and they hey, my product broke, and you go, oh my god, that's horrible. Let me compensate you for the product and fix it for free and all this. They tend to go opposite of you. So if you go over the energy required, they'll go back and be like, oh no, it's like not a big deal, like don't worry about it, and they'll come down. I think what's happening is that like a lot of people on the right are having these over exaggeratory meltdowns, and so people like Lex are like, oh yeah, you know, like I get it, you know, kind of taking that step back rather than be like, no, you're being stupid. Right, like you're being fucking stupid. Okay.
Furthermore, this nonsense about, Hillary and Russiagate. I can admit, I'm a liberal, but I will admit...
Papa God, I'm not sure what you mean by we don't call out right-wing crazies as much as left. From my experience, I see the discourse going back and forth because you don't. MAGA supporters, MAGA psychopath supporters is the main conservative party. It's not... Like the far left people like AOC and other fucking whatever idiots, they're really not very representative of the entire Democratic Party. Like Joe Biden is like a moderate left-leaning person. Trump is far right. What are you talking about? That's like the standard. Like there are so many career fucking Republican politicians leaving because Trump was so unhinged. Because they're like, Jesus Christ, the party has shifted so drastically. Like we're not at the same spot. Those people, like, it's very prominent in the Republican Party. It's full of like MAGA supporting cum guzzlers. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. Those are the fucking crazies. The MAGA supporters are just as, if not more, frankly, crazy than like your AOCs were in 2016. What are you talking about? We don't really call it out in the same capacity because they are like so present in the process. 100%. Like, that's just a reality of the world. So, like, we do not call out, like, the far right-wing people. They are, right now, basically the Republican Party. That's the most prominent position in the Republican Party, is to, like, come guzzle Trump. Just to be clear. So, like, no, they are too present inside of the Republican Party. The AOCs of the world are not super present in the Democratic Party. And, yeah, AOC has gone... she's gotten more moderate, by the way, too, as she's been in office. She's actually calmed down significantly. So, like, no, it's not the same. It is not even close to the same at all.
Admit here today that Hillary Clinton was a sore loser. The evidence showed that Trump did not collude with Russia to win the election.
True.
However, Hillary Clinton did not file legal cases against Donald Trump. She did not conspire with Joe Biden or try to pressure Joe Biden to throw out the Electoral College votes that helped Donald Trump become president. She did not conspire with people in the Democratic Party to defraud the American people, Donald Trump, and our democracy out of a free and fair election. She didn't do that. There is a difference between Trump and Hillary that Trump supporters have yet to accept, and it's a problem. Was Hillary a sore loser? Yes. If Trump had simply said, frankly, we did win.
I mean, there was probably no way Hillary was going to win. She was the first. She would have been the first woman president, and it's like almost unheard of that one party will win 3 times in a row, right? So there's already two. There are 2 cycles of a Democrat, to be clear. So
in this election, and that was it. That was the end. I wouldn't be discussing this. Trump went too far. Trump went too damn far, conspiring to steal an election, trying to pressure state officials from Arizona and Georgia and all these other states to throw out Biden votes and replace them with Trump votes. And then when asked for evidence, Giuliani sits there and says, well, I don't have any evidence, but I have a lot of theories. That's not okay. And that's not what Hillary did. Hillary, although she was a sore loser, put her tail between her legs and ran away. Trump, being a sore loser and a criminal and a liar.
Yeah, he tried to he tried to start an insurrection, is what he did.
Plotted against the United States to defraud us out of an election, broke his oath to the Constitution, betrayed his supporters, and convinced them to protest outside the Capitol, which then turned into a riot. And
that he could have stopped at any time and decided not to, as he was trying to still have an impact on the election.
An insurrection in which he then does not call them off for 3 hours, decides to call Mike Pence and other legislators to convince and pressure them to commit fraud. Hillary Clinton did none of these things. And Lex, it's time for you, Dave Smith, Tulsi Gabbard, and all the rest of you to acknowledge this difference in reality. I'm sorry, it sucks to admit, but yes, Trump is as bad as the establishment said from day one. I know it's considered global.
And you want to know, if you want to be a little charitable to Trump, you could say like, hey, listen, when Trump got into office, he was so used to positive media attention, and then things shifted because he used to have positive tabloid attention, and then he was getting some negative media attention because he didn't speak with a particular amount of decorum. And I guess I kind of feel bad for him because I don't think he was poorly meaning at first. I think it was more of one of those instances of like somebody who doesn't know how to speak to everybody. You know, he's still speaking to like a base instead of like trying to have some fucking decorum. But at the end of the day, okay, where are we now? I don't know what else to tell you. You tried to fucking overthrow the government. I don't know what to tell you.
Homo and soy to admit that the establishment was right or to side with the establishment, but I'm a grown-ass man. If Trump wants to lie and deceive and plot and scheme and misrepresent things, there's consequences for that. And I'm not about to just like ignore that so I can accrue favor with and to seem cool to Trumpites. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm seeing people like Vivek Ramaswamy and others say, if you don't vote for Trump, you're not a real man. Does a real man use his own supporters as battering rams against the United States government, and then when it fails, frees his circle of goons like Flynn and Bannon, but leaves his
hell yeah they do
Trump his MAGA-ite supporters, his Trumpite supporters who stormed the Capitol, he leaves them in prison? That's a real man? If you're gonna commit crime, at least stand by your partners in crime. Not just the ones who make you look good when you free them, but also the ones who make you look bad too. Trump is a liar, a deceiver, a manipulator, and because of his lies, someone died in the Capitol.
Yeah, I mean, that person broke into the Capitol, so I'm not exactly feeling too bad for them, but true.
Lex, it's time for you and every single other centrist to acknowledge reality and join the rest of us in reality. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? Is like centrism, they're not centrist anymore. Centrists are now basically like, this is like, it used to be centrism, but like, again, we'll pull this back up, left, right, and here's like the center. We'll call moderates. Like I said, we consider people on the far right to be much closer than they really are. Like centrists now are like, they think that this is valued as much as this. So what ends up happening is like, oh yeah, this is valued as much as this side, and then they're like, actually, the centrists are actually on the right because they're basically cucks, not calling out like shit going on with fucking right wingers. That's the reality here. It's fucking crazy.
Yes, Trump is that bad, and he's only that bad because he chose to be. No one put him up to, well, Giuliani did put him up to it, but Trump chose to follow. Trump is a 70-something-year-old man. He's too old at this point for me to sit there and make excuses for him. He's been around the block enough to know that.
Yeah, you should aim to be objective, not centrist. Yeah, no, like that's the thing is like a lot of people that are like centrist, it seems that they're more concerned with making everybody happy and trying to sit in the middle rather than necessarily trying to look at things from a more moderate perspective. Like, I guess that's how you would differentiate. I'd consider myself more of like a moderate left-leaning person. I'm not really trying to make people happy, but that's kind of like the reality here. And again, I don't think Lex is a bad guy. I think that I don't think he's doing it intentionally, but like once you recognize the behavior, like, oh shit, I am kind of guzzling conservative cum, maybe you got to spit that shit out, or swallow it and stop taking new loads, you know?
This is wrong, and he still chose to do it. This is who he is.
But that's one of the fucking issues with like brain rot Twitter, man. It's like you'll get pulled, I think, more than any other platform. It's like just kind of this fucking crazy state.
This is his character. This is who he is. It's in him to be dishonest and manipulative and a liar and a fraud. It is in him, and that's just the truth. Then you say,
wait, is he said that's in Trump, or is that in Lex?
And he still chose to sit there and make excuses for him. He's been around the block enough to know that this is wrong. And he still chose to do it. This is who he is. This is his character. This is who he is. It's in him to be dishonest and manipulative and a liar and a fraud. It is in him, and that's just the truth.
Put it in me, Daddy.
Then you say we shouldn't call it out because it sows division. No. I firmly believe conservatives.
Well, what's interesting is when he said you shouldn't call it out, at least in that clip, it was more focused on, like, it wasn't like, hey, we shouldn't call it out. He said, hey, we shouldn't call it out, but then he used an example of, like, making people feel stupid. And it's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't call them out and make them feel stupid about it. You know, not that I might be guilty of that as well, but that's fair. But like, hey, you know, you should call it out, but be respectful about it. That's fair. That's a fair take. But you should call it out for sure.
Are tough. They claim to be tough. They claim to be able to sustain facts over feelings.
Lex is such an Elon fanboy, he'll never leave Twitter. Yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense too, though, right? Like, Elon Musk is like a dumb idiot conservative in the worst disguise ever, right? Kind of bought companies, you know, bought other companies, you know, taking credit for things he never invented, et cetera, et cetera. And now he loves getting positive attention on Twitter. But he's a tech guy, and Lex is a tech guy. And so, like, you could see there's probably going to be like a bias leaning towards the tech guy. Oh, I like the tech guy. I'm a tech guy. Because Lex is a smart tech guy. I keep saying that as if anything's changing. But I think that that's also a factor.
Why can't I tell them you got duped? You got played. You got finessed. Trump lied to you. Giuliani lied to you. Giuliani's infamous words when speaking to the Arizona.
Centrism isn't bad. The problem is that centrism should be. Well, I think that I think at this point, like, a lot of people have kind of almost rebranded or redefined centrism, not as somebody who's more moderate, but as somebody who is just trying to appease both sides, both popular sides, rather than trying to be moderate. I think that's more of what is being referred to here.
Speaker of the House was, we don't have any evidence, but we have a lot of theories. For the last 3 years, neither Giuliani nor Trump have been able to produce any evidence of a stolen election. It is not a coincidence that every single state official from all of the states involved in the conspiracy told Trump, we have not found any fraud. These are not individuals who oppose Trump. These are individuals who are bureaucrats who have no political allegiance. They simply work for their states. These individuals who told Trump, we have not found any fraud, these individuals in his own administration, in his own cabinet, told him, we have not found any fraud. All of the individuals who told Trump that there was no fraud stood to gain from joining in with Trump to lie. Lex goes on to say, well, it didn't work, did it? The attempt against democracy didn't work, did it?
Yeah, but we all know that, like, if, let's say, a baby, or like you have a kid and they try to steal something from you and they aren't able to steal it and you don't give them consequences, then they're going to go, oh, guess I could steal it again. Guess I'll try again. Right? So that's not really a good excuse.
The reason why it didn't work, Lex, is because individual Americans like Mike Pence chose to uphold their oath to the Constitution over upholding some sense of loyalty to a single man. That is the reason why it didn't work.
Imagine Kamala Harris could get fucking Pence as the vice president. I'm just saying, that could be, it's never gonna happen, but would that be so fucking interesting? That would be one hell of a way to go. And I feel like because then I don't know, man, you might pull like reasonable Republicans onto the Democratic Party. That'd be fucking crazy. That would be the drama of the century, guys. That's all I'm saying.
Litany of video of J6ers looking for Nancy Pelosi.
What the fuck are you talking about? Nah, why are they banning the Mr. Beast fraud video? Who's shadow banning it? Who's shadow banning the Mr. Beast fraud video? Why do you think that? I think you're here to troll. What the fuck are you on about?
Nancy, we're looking for you. Nancy. Oh, Nancy. Nancy.
Horseshit. It says like 18 to.
It has 250,000 fucking views. What are you talking about? A nothing channel with one video got 250,000 views. Why do you think that's shadow banning? You guys are weirdos. Just to be clear. You guys are fucking conspiracy brained.
Calling for the execution of Mike Pence.
Meanwhile, Trump is silent this entire time. But guys, Trump didn't explicitly call for the violence. He just didn't stop them for 3 hours. Yeah, well, imagine someone's dog starts attacking somebody and they don't stop them for 15 minutes and they just kind of sit there and go, oh yeah, you should probably stop their little Bow Wow, you know, little Romeo, other little artists that I used to listen to as a kid. You know?
These things exist. These videos exist. These individuals were lied to by a man they trusted. He put a battery in their backs and encouraged them to protest outside the Capitol. But there's a problem.
The protest is fine. They have the right to protest. But then when they broke into the Capitol and they broke windows, they attacked police officers, they broke through doors, he didn't say stop the violence. He let it go too far. And he didn't stop for 3 hours, even though he saw everything that was going on in the news coverage.
Donald Trump sat there and said, you gotta fight like hell or you won't have a country anymore. What that implies is democracy has been stolen, and the individuals who stole it from you maintain power and are in that Capitol. The only way for you to return democracy back to America
is by helping me steal it.
Is to assault said Capitol and eject the election thieves. That is literally the only common sense solution. A part of me can't even blame them for storming the Capitol because
it's not even just that. Like, it's the aftermath where Trump did nothing to stop it. That's where it becomes confirmed. That any logical person would be like, seems like Trump wanted this to happen.
What else can you?
He did nothing to stop it. Let's be real.
You do. If the election's been stolen, democracy has been stolen, you have no other recourse. The problem was, the thief was the one pulling the strings the whole time. Donald Trump's own Attorney General Bill Barr resigned as a result of this scheme, and then his new one, Jeff Rosen, still refused to participate in the conspiracy to steal an election. Donald Trump's own Attorney General Bill Barr said that there was no evidence of election fraud and had to resign as a result of the conspiracy and planned coup that was going on in Trump's upper inner circle. On top of that, the next Attorney General, Jeff Rosen, also condemned the conspiracy and refused to participate in it. Trump's own VP, when presented with an
well, I guess they're just really not real conservatives, guys. They're rhinos, Republican in name only.
Opportunity to consolidate power and to retain power into both his and Donald Trump's hands, chose to do the right thing. Part of me feels bad for some of the J6ers because the person...
Yeah, because they were kind of stupid and got manipulated into being a political weapon, basically.
Actually trying to orchestrate a theft was the individual who put them up to it in the first place. And that's disgusting to me. And that needs to be called out. And maybe laughing at Trump supporters, humiliating them, clowning them, that might be the only way. I've never met a Trump supporter.
Maybe. I mean, honestly, just like that, dude, I hate to say it because it's so immature, but when it comes to Trump supporters, people who love Trump, I think we just have to point and laugh from now on. Like, don't like get angry, but just point and laugh. You know, when they're sitting there fucking praising Trump like he's a god, just laugh at them. They're stupid. You know, just laugh at those people. I think that's where we're at.
Who's been confronted with evidence about this that has said, you know what? I changed my mind. I don't believe.
I got someone in the chat. You're so stupid. Dr. Joe Rogan. I know it's not Joe Rogan, guys. I know this is a meme. Don't beef with my boy Lex. We do jujitsu together, and he's the smartest dude in the world. I love you. I appreciate that.
Believe any and everything Donald Trump tells me. I don't believe that the only person telling me the truth is Donald Trump. I've yet to meet a Trump supporter who's willing to meet me, a liberal, in the middle and discuss this honestly, earnestly, and try to be open.
I guess there's no such thing as there's no such thing as a level-headed Trump supporter. There is such thing as level-headed conservatives. No such thing as level-headed Trump supporters. They just don't exist. They're fucking crazy. They've accepted every a bogus conspiracy that ever goes out there. They think COVID was fake. They think Donald Trump, the election was stolen. They think that fucking Michelle Obama is like a fucking trans woman. They still think that Obama isn't from like America or wasn't born in America. They're fucking psychopaths at this point. Okay, that's really all it is. Like, there's really no way to level with a lot of these people.
Into the evidence has been presented against Trump by people who worked in his own administration. His own administration. I have not yet met a single Trump supporter who is willing to do that. And that's a problem because it illustrates an issue of Trump supporters believing anything that man tells them no matter what. It is effectively a cult. We have half of the country living in their own separate reality.
And again, I wouldn't say half the country. I will say I think that there are a lot of conservatives who are just voting Trump. I like to think that they're just voting Trump because they typically vote on their party lines, and you know what I mean, and they're still holding on to those old values of conservatism, which were unnecessarily cutting taxes and stopping women from getting abortions, right? But you know what? That's chump change compared to what's happening now. Okay, remember when it was a party of like fiscal responsibility? We haven't had a fiscally responsible conservative president since before fucking Bush. I mean, literally when? They usually just come in, cut taxes, don't actually reduce spending in a meaningful way, and then cry and bitch and moan, and increase military spending by a substantial amount, which inflates our shit more.
Orchestrated and built by a single man. Despite the fact that the United States is not a nation of men.
Oh no, Papa, you take every Destiny talking point and just vomit it back. Like, you're a funny dude, but that's just it. What's said? Like, I don't take everything that he says and vomit it back. I listen to what he says, and I look at it, and he's right. He's right. What do you want me to tell you? You think that I love guzzling Destiny's cum? He just happens to be right. You know, it's like every other week that I'm annoyed about something that he said because I feel like he'll be very immature and it bothers the fuck out of me. But then he'll say some shit and he's right. So like, what is he wrong about? Like when you come in here and you're like, guys, I came into the stream 2 hours late. Yeah, Papa, God, you know, you say the same thing Destiny says, so like you look stupid. I don't. What is he wrong about? I'll wait for you. Just tell me what he's wrong about. That's the reality. The reality is you want, as much as you might want to hate Destiny, he's fucking right about a lot of the things that he talks about. So it's hard to be like, I'm not somebody, I'm more interested in being correct than I'm interested in disliking, you know, a black stripper. All right. So I don't really know what to tell you. Like, what is it? Like, give me something with more substance other than, you don't want to engage in this topic, which is fine. And so you want to come in and say stupid idiot shit. I don't know what to tell you. I've criticized him before when I disagree with his shit. He happens to be right. What is he wrong about? Explain it to me. I'm listening. What is he wrong about? Here's what he's wrong about. He was too mean and made too many jokes about the guy who died in the failed assassination attempt of Trump. I agree with that. What else is there? What else do you got for me? What is he wrong about? As you accuse me of guzzling Destiny's cum, you're just fucking, I don't even know, you're just guzzling every Republican cum? I don't even know. You probably aren't somebody who's super interested in politics. You just came in and were like, you probably like me for my edgy jokes, and then you came in. You do love guzzling him, bro. Honestly, he is a wiki warrior. He's not even a real journalist. That's all you have because he uses Wikipedia that has like the most substantial collection archive of other sources. It gives you breakdown on events, and then it gives you legitimate sources linked to those. That's what you don't like? What else? What else is there? Because he uses Wikipedia. Awesome. It's probably the biggest collection of like actual sourced material ever. What else do you have other than I looked at Joe Rogan saying a thing because I don't like Destiny? What do you got? What do you have? There's really nothing that you're not really operating on anything. Oh, he uses Wikipedia. Okay, you got me, man. He uses Wikipedia. You got me. Incredible stuff.
but a nation of laws.
Say something actual. Give me something kind of substance next time you post in the chat, okay?
And half of the country has been convinced to ignore the Constitution.
Destiny's a fucking dork who'll sit on stream for 8 hours and read through documents about shit. That's gay. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. I don't really know what to tell you.
Document of which Donald Trump
Because he'll sit there and he'll read through like all these indictments and all these documents about everything. He's not just reading Wikipedia. He's reading like quite literally everything. It's putting in effort that I would never put in. Like, oh, that's fucking crazy, dude. Wow, what am I supposed to say to that? Am I supposed to be like, ignore that? Like, I don't understand. What the fuck?
Trump called for the suspension of. Half of the country has been convinced to abandon reality, to abandon truth, to abandon criticism. And this was
You still have no actual anything.
the move.
Not legitimate sources every time. Okay, cool. Thank you for the substantive, substant argument. Is that what I say? Thank you for your substance of your argument. Doesn't exist. He doesn't just read Wikipedia. He's reading a lot of other shit too. He's like looking through the actual indictments, the actual court papers, actual information. What do you want me to tell you? All you got is sometimes he uses Wikipedia and is not always reliable. Cool. But then, like, okay, cool, great stuff. Explain to me what he says is wrong. You still got nothing. I don't know what to tell you. You just don't want him to be right because he's a smug fuck, and you don't want the smug fuck to be right. But the reality is that he's a smug fuck that happens to be right. So there's the fucking truth. You just don't like that he's a smug fuck. Okay, I get it.
Movement that lectured people like that lectured liberals about honesty, truth, facts before feelings, suspicion of government. And now that same political movement has no suspicion of their leader. They don't suspect Trump. They don't investigate Trump. They don't ever think that maybe Trump could be lying to them. All of these things are beneath them. They refuse to engage in that. That is not okay. Calling it out is not sowing division because the consequences that come.
Yeah, the sowing of division again would be if you were rude in your call out, which maybe we need to be a little more rude. I don't know. You know, I don't know.
From not trying to reach out to Trump supporters and inform them of this is the downfall of American democracy, the downfall of our republic.
Most of the time in like the real world setting, it's one of those things where you hear your fucking like kind of racist family talking about how much they love Trump and you're just like, yeah, okay. And you don't want to hear it. So you don't really engage with it. Maybe we got to start engaging with it and be like, you're a sussy little baka. You're a silly little goose. You're a goose, bro.
That is exactly what the outcome is if you don't reach out to Trump supporters and say, hey, this was dumb, this was stupid, and here's why. It's stupid to not call it out, and it costs us our country. And for you as a foreigner to...
Oh, shit, we're getting conservative on you as a goddamn foreigner coming here and giving us your fucking perspective on this goddamn bullshit. It's not appreciated.
Reaffirm and support this in the minds of my countrymen bothers me. It deeply bothers me. The problem is, Lex, is that you, along with every single other centrist, are cowards. Damn. And I say that in a polite way.
I kind of agree. Again, I think that like the definition of centrist that we're using now is not somebody who's a moderate. That's like a moderate person. We're talking about centrist as like somebody who tries to value both sides' perspective equally when the right side's perspective, the Trump side, is not to be valued equally. It is anti-science. It is anti-government. It is anti-education. It is factually and objectively incorrect. There's really nothing else to say. They want to cut education. They want to claim that COVID isn't real. They want to overthrow the government. They want to say that climate change doesn't exist. They're just literal anti-science, anti-education, anti-everything. They're Trumpers. Again, not Republicans. Trumpers are fucking stupid. It's just it's the unfortunate reality. They've bought into an ideology. Because I have a conservative family member that they acknowledge global warming is real. They just don't think that it's we need to dump every resource into it. They want to be more moderate about the approach to it. That's a fair perspective to take. I would say that's a decent conservative perspective. You know? But that's not really the Republican Party perspective anymore because it's just a goddamn psychopath shit show. So
You are all afraid of MAGA. The reality is there's no equality between Joe Biden and Donald Trump in terms of threat to democracy, lack of presidential decorum, lack of honesty, calls for violence. Donald Trump is significantly worse. The problem is Trump's base has been primed by both aggressive liberal media critiquing every little thing Trump does, and also Trump himself to believe that any critique of Trump, even if it's a whole bunch, is automatically, especially if it's a whole bunch, is especially wrong. It's never correct. If you critique Trump too much, you must have Trump derangement syndrome. And take this coming from someone who only hopped off the Trump train a year ago. I've never had a strong dislike of Trump. I've always thought he was funny, a little bit tough, sometimes said too much and didn't know how to shut up, but I never hated the guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's how I felt about him for a while, too.
It wasn't until I read about January 6th that I realized.
That's so funny because, like, that's when I was like, yeah, fuck this guy. The January, I mean, I love America. Like, if you want to come in here and say I'm a cum guzzler, I will guzzle America's cum all day and all night. And I will be unwavering and unapologetic about how much I love this country. I think it's the greatest country in the world. I think part of that's because we get to criticize it. We're the strongest presence in the world. We have the best ideology in the world. That's the freest for its own people. I love this country. I love it because gay people get to be free. Women get equal opportunity. Okay? That's why I love this country. I think it's incredible. We're strong as fuck, baby. We have a strong military. So once you, like, try to overthrow our government, for me, that's like, oh, yeah, fuck this shit. So, do you not believe woke Democrats is not an ideology? I'm playing devil's advocate here, but this is your bias. So, to be clear, you came in the stream late. First of all, conservatives call everything woke. If you think it's okay to be fucking gay, now that's too woke. Oh my God, there's a gay character in a TV show, that's too woke. So, Republicans like to call, MAGAists like to call woke everything that's slightly left-leaning. Right? This is the party that was trying to get rid of gay marriage last year. Just to be clear. Okay? They were trying to get rid of gay marriage after they got rid of abortion. All right? That's number one. Number two, the general Democratic Party is moderate left. The general Republican Party is far right fucking psychopath bullshit. AOC and that bunch have been like fucking pushed out of the wayside by the general Democratic perspective because Democrats are moderate. The general Democratic Party is a moderate left party. The general Republican Party is a far right party. We've just talked about this before you came in here late. Okay? So like that's the difference between the parties. AOC has toned it down, whether it's because she's realized she's being fucking stupid, or because like she realized it was not going to be a positive strategy to constantly fucking virtue signaling and morally masturbate. That's not accepted to nearly the same degree in the Democratic Party as it is in the Republican Party. That's just a fact. Literally, the general Republican Party was okay with getting rid of the Supreme Court ruling that codified, that made that so that gay marriage was a thing. That's a fact. Okay? That's insane. That is a separation. There's literally no non-religious argument against gay marriage. So that's like literally like the antithesis of our, democracy, separation of church and state. I don't know what to tell you. Destiny talking point. How's it wrong? How's it wrong? I don't know what to tell you. Listen, I'm not going to respond to you anymore because you're obviously just here because you want to like shit and cum in your pants. Explain to me how he's wrong, and I'll be like, okay, he's right, dude. The guy's right. The dude's right, and I'm tired of justifying it to you because you're obviously just fucking trolling at this point. But Destiny's right. Okay, I guess Cope and Seath, man. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not going to disagree with him just because I don't want to agree with Destiny. I'm not a fucking little idiot baby child like you.
This guy was everything that everyone warned us he was from day one. I don't have some burning hate in my heart for that man. I don't know the man. But as an American citizen, this concerns me. It's my business, and I have every right to survey exactly what he did and come to my own conclusion. You and every single centrist are afraid of simply telling Trump supporters, look, I'm sorry. Trump did falsely accuse Biden of trying to assassinate him at Mar-a-Lago, even though Trump was informed ahead of time of the raid that they were coming by the FBI, even though they showed up when Trump was not there on purpose, even though when they raided Joe Biden, they also had lethal force authorized against him as well, because as it turned out, even if you're the president, if you try to use lethal force to obstruct the FBI, they reserve the right to use lethal force against you. even if you're a seated or former president. For all you know, it might not be the president who's shooting back. It could be someone staying in the house. You never know. The point being is the FBI reserves the right to use lethal force to retain federal documents in the event that the subject of the raid tries to obstruct it with lethal force.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have held on to it. What was it, for like over a year or something? I don't really understand, right? I think people were comparing it to Joe Biden, who, when he was notified that he had like documents that he shouldn't have had, he like immediately turned them over. Like once he was informed, like that's because I can imagine like, oh, you're in a particular position and you have classified documents, maybe at home in some capacity. I imagine like, I don't know, they work from home or something fun. But then once you're informed, like, hey, you have this and you shouldn't, you go, oh, let me turn that over. That's what happened with Joe Biden. Trump didn't want to do that. Okay.
This is common sense.
And he didn't comply for a year. Exactly. They went easy on him.
Trump takes this reality and shifts it into something completely different to convince his base that Biden tried to kill him. Donald Trump posted a picture of Joe Biden.
That's because Trump can't get elected on his merits. He's done nothing of any substance for the country in any really meaningful, positive capacity. Except for tax cuts that increased our fucking annual federal deficit by like an insane amount. That were permanent for fucking rich people and temporary for poor people. So they could use it as like a jingling keys in front of you.
Hogtied. Donald Trump clowned the fact that Paul Pelosi was assaulted. His own son joked about it. Donald Trump talked about punching people at his rallies. Donald Trump has been egging on violence for the longest time and attempted a coup against the United States of America. Most Trump supporters don't want to hear this. The problem is, if all of you in one fell swoop forced them to confront this reality, you'd have nothing to be afraid of. But you're all afraid because you know that you can critique liberal politicians and liberal fans of yours aren't going to hold you at gunpoint and demand that you stop critiquing their favorite politician or else they're leaving. But you know in your heart of hearts, and every single one of you centrists know in your heart of hearts, that if you critique Trump honestly and earnestly, it will look biased because Trump is infinitely worse than Biden. You're afraid of doing that. You're absolutely afraid. You're afraid of losing your centrist card. Because if you critiqued Trump again, I'll say it again.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. If you want to stay a centrist, you have to call out the far-right fucking psychopath bullshit that's like the Republican Party. So if anything, you know, you're not really a centrist. You're just fence-sitting on two sides that you value equally when they shouldn't be valued equally. Like, legitimately speaking, Democrat and Republican, it should literally be Democrats who want like a little more social welfare programs versus Republican who want to cut some of those programs and then cut taxes. That's what the two parties should be. And if they were proportionate, that's pretty much what you would see, right? But that's not where we're at in any capacity.
And if you critique Trump, it would seem biased because Trump is infinitely worse than Biden. And if you critique the two, your critiques of Biden would stop somewhere and your critiques of Trump would go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Because as it turns out, Trump is not God. He's a man. And he makes mistakes. And he does bad things. And he's got a longer streak of those than Joe Biden. It's just the truth.
True.
You're afraid. You're afraid of losing your centrist card. You're afraid of appearing to be biased when you're not. You're afraid of Trump supporters perceiving you in a way that's not real simply because they are unwilling to divorce themselves from a fantasy. Until you and the rest of centrist political commentators can grow a spine and confront the Trumpites and present truth to them and take them on, you have no right to talk about Kamala Harris's appointment being undemocratic.
Didn't he call it an anointment? He didn't even say appointment, right? Or maybe I'm wrong about that. But yeah, I agree with this.
When you literally sat there in front of destiny and excused undemocratic activity and an attempt to steal the election. Like, how you can even bring yourself to think of yourself as a centrist critiquing Kamala while letting Trump go scot-free is insane. And I've seen that you interviewed Ivanka recently. No critiques of January 6th, no deep conversations about...
Well, of course not, because if he did ask those questions, she never would have agreed to go on. And by the way, that's not an excuse for not asking those questions. He should have asked those questions or not had her on. There would have been like some actual integrity in that situation.
Politics, it's really unique and weird and interesting that you decided to interview her in this time of election season. The reality is you're not a...
Okay, so he's saying that it was like almost like a backhanded or almost like a support for Trump by giving her the opportunity to speak and reshape the narrative around what's going on.
Centrist right now. And you could be in the future, but you aren't one right now. Until you and the rest of centrist politics are ready to confront Trump, you're all just his agents. You're all just cowards in my book.
Damn. I mean, I agree with this guy. I don't know what else to say, man. He's based.
Scared, afraid of MAGA, afraid of...
Oh, what's this guy's name? It'll always be in the description, by the way. I said in the beginning of like the video segment. I know you guys are coming in a little late, but it'll always in the description under sources. But his name is Rashad Crenshaw. I'm hoping I'm saying that right.
the Trumpites. I'm done calling them MAGA because this isn't about America to them. It's all about Donald Trump. He's king in their eyes. And any critique, especially if it's a lot, is automatically TDS. Because apparently Trump never being wrong is not Trump derangement, but you constantly critiquing him somehow is. As of right now, you're not a centrist. But if you decide to actually confront the realities of what Trump has done and acknowledge them and be equal and fair and risk losing some of your audience, then it would be fair to call you a mediator, a centrist.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely another thing. Audience capture is like a very real thing where people will feel like they have to have a certain perspective just to appease their audience. Like with this fucking idiot in the chat here, like crying and asking the same dumb questions without actually disagreeing with me. Like that's the person. That's like those are the people. That's what that is. Lex's audience is full of people like that, and he doesn't want to disagree with them because then they might not want to watch him anymore. It's audience capture. I think that's probably a big part of it.
And someone who's promoting unity.
Okay, I'm gonna time you out, you fucking idiot. I know you're just being stupid, but I gotta put you in timeout. I'm gonna put you in a minute. I just don't want that on my fucking chat, dude. Come on.
But until then, I have to call you what you are.
A big stinky poop wiener.
Someone who's afraid.
All right. Well, frankly, I like that video. I think that guy was pretty based. So good for him. Smart guy. In my opinion, guys. In my personal opinion.